Hi, my name is Victor with spicegnome.com and welcome to another episode of Spice and Advice. I hear people complaining all the time. They don't like quinoa. It doesn't taste good. It's kind of bland. Quinoa is all about how you make it, how you season it. If you take just rice and don't put anything on the rice and you try to eat it by itself, it's the same thing. It's bland. Quinoa is not any different. What we're going to make today is we're going to make a mushroom and onion quinoa. It's really good. It's very easy to make. Quinoa doesn't take very long to cook. What we're going to do is we're going to first cook the quinoa in a pot, and then we're going to cook the other ingredients that later we're going to mix together. So let's start with the quinoa. We have onions, baby bell mushrooms. I use baby bell mushrooms because I love them. You can use any kind of, white mushrooms if you want to, but I'm using baby bells. Your quinoa. We have a can, which is 10.5 ounces of mushroom soup. We have parmesan, cilantro, salt, pepper, truffle oil, black truffle oil, and chicken broth. What we're going to do is we're going to start first with the quinoa. And we're going to put the broth in the pot. We're going to put our fire to be medium high. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait until the broth is boiling. That's when we're going to add the quinoa. It cooks better that way. We have our broth. Salt. I always put a little bit extra salt. It's salt. I mean, it comes seasoned, but I like extra salt. And we're going to wait until it boils. I have one viewer that asked about when I made the black bean hummus. They were like, I don't really like black beans. I love the recipe, but not crazy about black beans. You know what? The black bean hummus, you can use any kind of bean you want. You can use red kidney beans, you can use pink beans, garbanzos. I mean, after all, the original hummus is made with garbanzo beans. So you can use garbanzo beans, white beans, any kind of bean. I have made it with peas. I use green pigeon peas, gandules for Latin people. And they were okay, but they were not as good. They were a little bit stronger in flavor. So it didn't work as well for me with the peas. But with the beans, you can use any beans, substitute them, and it's gonna work out fine. Okay, our chicken broth is boiling. So now we're gonna put quinoa in. Gonna mix it. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover it. It's gonna take between 15 and 20 minutes to cook. Quinoa cooks really fast. If you have it first, you're gonna start in medium high until it starts to boil again. Once it starts to boil again, then you're gonna lower it to medium. In the meantime, we're gonna start with our other mix. We're gonna start the other pot. Medium heat, and we're going to put some olive oil, because what we're going to do is first we're going to just cook our onions just so they are translucent. We're not going to overcook them, because later on we're going to add the mushrooms and everything else. If we try to caramelize them, it's going to become really mushy, and that's not what we want. Our oil is warm, so we're going to put the onions. We just want to cook them some so they're a little bit translucent. Okay. I'm just gonna stir the onions a little bit while we cook them. I'm mixing the onions. as you can see, I chop them small, but I don't chop them really small. I mean, you want to be able to, when you mix it with the quinoa, you want those little chunks of onion. You don't want the onion just to disappear. I mean, it's more than just giving it flavor. It's also giving it texture. Meantime, we're gonna check the quinoa. Boiling beautifully. We have our temperature at medium. Let's see how we're doing in salt. Yep, that's delicious. Gonna cook the onions like for 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. Shouldn't take really much longer than that. Lowering my temperature to medium now, and now I'm throwing in the mushrooms. See, same thing. I chopped them, but I didn't chop them really small. I'm just gonna cook them a little bit there. Let them do their thing. And now we're gonna put salt and pepper. So now we're gonna put soup, the cream of mushroom, and truffle oil. If you don't have truffle oil, then just use olive oil. I mean, truffle oil is delicious because it adds that mushroom kind of flavor to everything, but not everybody has it. So you can use olive oil. That'll be fine. Really what we're waiting is for the quinoa to dry it up. The quinoa is not gonna be like the grainy, like rice where you see all the grains, and it's gonna be more wet, but it's gonna be so good, you're not gonna care. It's almost gonna be kind of like a risotto. It's gonna be wet, it's gonna be juicy, and it's gonna be delicious. You're gonna love it. The last thing that we're gonna add is gonna be the parmesan and the cilantro. We have our mix cooking. We're gonna wait until the quinoa is done. Once the quinoa is done, we're gonna mix it, and then we add the parmesan and the cilantro, and then we're gonna turn it off. Because cilantro, you don't want to cook too much. If you overcook it, then it just loses its flavor. You want that green flavor that cilantro brings into a dish. And you don't want to overcook the cheese because you want the flavor of the cheese. Did you try this? Oh yeah, quinoa is ready. And now we're gonna add the quinoa. You see, I didn't put any oil in the quinoa when I was cooking it because there's gonna be oil in the mix that we have with the mushroom soup. Now, I'm gonna mix the quinoa with the soup and the mushrooms and the onions. I'm gonna add the parmesan. And the cilantro. I love cilantro. If you have issues with cilantro, then don't use cilantro. But it just gives it an extra dimension. See, it almost looks like risotto. We're gonna now cook it for 5-10 more minutes at medium low, but we're gonna cook it uncovered because what we want to do is we want to dry it up a little bit. If you like it just that wet, that's fine. Then just cover it, turn your stove off, and just leave it covered and it'll be fine. But if you want it a little bit drier, then cook it for 5-10 more minutes. Quinoa with mushroom and onions. It's so good. You're going to love it. There's no reason to eat just blah quinoa when you can make it really, really good. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. And please, if you like this video, like and click like. And subscribe to the channel so you can see more awesome recipes that we're going to be making. I'm even going to start baking at some point, so you want to definitely watch that out. And please don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Victor with spiceandadvice.com, and this is Spice and Advice. Have a great day.
Too much wine?
Now too much lights and stove and oven. Whew. Wine is the only thing that is making everything better. Okay, I think we're boiling.